At the beginning, the Taiwanese celebrated with joy the reclamation of Taiwan by the Chinese. However, joy soon turned into contempt when the Chinese troops they saw were undisciplined and in tatters. The undisciplined soldiers refused to pay for goods in the store and bus fare. They spat on the street and committed robbery and rape. An American journalist witnessed that the initial joy evaporated overnight when the Taiwanese came to realize that Taiwan was not liberated. Rather, they were conquered by a people inferior to them. In despair, the Taiwanese could not but expressing their disappointment and discontent in lampoons that criticized government officials of all ranks and described the suffering of the people. In 1943, Taiwan recorded 253 kilometers of railroad travel per capita per year. China did not reach this level until 1986, more than 40 years later. In 1941, there were 5 telephones per 1,000 residents in Taiwan. In China, this number was not reached until 1983. In 1947, per capita electricity generation in Taiwan was 12 times that of China. All those who came from mainland China after the war praised Taiwan's progress. In his book, Speaking Out for Taiwan, journalist Chang reported that all the Chinese officials and tourists were impressed by Taiwan's progress and prosperity. A Shanghai Biweekly also acknowledged that Taiwan was a clean and beautiful green island. Many Chinese would leave their dirty and unstable homeland and move to Taiwan to restart their lives and re-establish their business. A captain of the KMT military police, to his great surprise, observed that Taiwan was safe and peaceful. He was told by his subordinates doors need not be closed at night, and things found on the street are returned to the owners. No one bargains in the stores, and shopkeepers are honest and friendly. Taiwanese were thrifty, diligent, well-educated, and highly skilled. Therefore, in the eyes of many Chinese, Taiwan was truly a paradise. However, unfortunately, good times will soon be over. Everything will change in a few months. Taiwan's superior development was recognized by the Chinese who arrived after the war. At the same time, the Taiwanese genuinely welcomed the arrival of these mainlanders. However, they immediately discovered their incompatibility as soon as they came into contact with each other. After having fought against the Japanese for 8 years, the Chinese were extremely hostile to find the Japanese way of life in Taiwan. In the eyes of the Chinese, the Taiwanese were merely Japanese slaves. On the surface, the Chinese recognized the Taiwanese as compatriots. In reality, they acted as the victor and the conquerors. The Democratic Weekly of Beijing observed that the Chinese who first came to reclaim Taiwan behaved like invaders. They were arrogant and contemptuous towards the local population. Unfortunately, Chinese troops that were dispatched to Taiwan were undisciplined. A military police captain noted, quote, "Indeed, the 70th Army behaved very badly. Before official landing in Keelung, some went ashore with blankets on their back, some rambled around in their straw sandals, and some urinated at the side of the ship," unquote. The Chinese troops committed theft, looting and killing. They swindled, harassed, and threatened the civilian population. There is an unbelievable story in Professor Li Xiaofeng's book, Understanding 228. Some Chinese soldiers bought a coffin to bury their dead comrade. After the burial, they returned the used coffin and demanded a refund from the Taiwanese coffin maker. George Kerr, the then U.S. Vice Consul in Taiwan, recorded in detail the lootings committed by the Chinese in his 500-page book, Formosa Betrayed. Quote, "From September 1945 until the year's end, the military scavengers were at work at their lowest level. anything movable, anything lying loose and unguarded for a moment was fair prey for wrecked and undisciplined soldiers. The second stage of looting was entered when the senior military men, with forwarding agents at the port, through which they began to ship military and civilian supplies. By the end of 1946, these huge reserves were fairly well exhausted. The pickings were good, but the dirty, illiterate conscripts were objects of scorn and contempt among the comparatively well-dressed, well-fed modern Formosans." Unquote.